Your bank account says one thing, your potential says another. Which voice wins? What if the gap between broke and breakthrough is just one belief? Right now, someone with less talent is making more money. Why? They shifted one thing. You're about to learn what. 3 questions will expose the invisible ceiling above your income. Answer honestly. Do you apologize when you charge? Do you save just in case? Do you believe there's enough? Most people die with their wealth locked inside wrong thinking. This audiobook is the key. Let me tell you what happened to Sarah. She's a graphic designer, talented, hardworking, been freelancing for 7 years. She told me her rate was $60 an hour, and when I asked why, she looked at the floor and said it felt fair. Fair to who? I asked. She didn't have an answer. 3 months later, after we worked together, she charged a client $5,000 for a project that used to cost them $1,200. Same work, same skill, different operating system. The client paid immediately and thanked her for the value. That's not a miracle. That's what happens when you shift from scarcity to overflow. So here's what we're doing together. Over the next few hours, I'm going to walk you through the exact process that Sarah used, that hundreds of others have used, that you're about to use. We're going to dismantle the poverty operating system running in the background of your mind. We're going to install something better. And by the time we're done, you won't just understand overflow thinking. You'll be living it. But first we need to diagnose the problem. Most people don't know they're operating from scarcity. It's invisible. It's the water you swim in, the air you breathe. You think it's reality when it's actually just programming. So let's expose it. Think about the last time you looked at your bank account. What did you feel? If the answer is anything other than calm confidence, you've got scarcity running. Think about the last time someone asked your rate or your price. Did you hesitate? Did you offer a discount before they even asked? Did you justify the number? That's scarcity. Think about the last time you saw someone else win, get promoted, land the client, make the sale. Did you celebrate or did something tighten in your chest? If it tightened, that's scarcity. Now, I'm not saying this to shame you. I'm saying it to wake you up, because you can't change what you can't see. And right now, I'm holding up a mirror. What you're seeing is the poverty operating system. It was installed early, probably before you could talk. You learned it from the adults around you. You absorbed it from their stress, their arguments about money, their silence when bills came, their warnings about the cost of things, their belief that money was scarce and hard to get and easy to lose. Here's what that operating system tells you. Money is scarce. You have to work hard to get it. Rich people are lucky or corrupt. You should be grateful for what you have and not ask for more. Save for a rainy day because disaster is always coming. Don't spend on yourself, that's selfish. There's not enough. There's never enough. You have to sacrifice now to maybe be secure later. And even if you make more, you'll probably lose it. So why bother trying? That's the program. And it doesn't matter if you have a degree or a high IQ or incredible work ethic. You cannot out-earn bad programming. The operating system has a thermostat. When you start making more than it thinks you should, it sabotages you. You overspend. You undersell. You avoid opportunities. You create crises that burn through the extra cash. And then you're right back where the program says you belong. Let me tell you about David. He's a software engineer. Made 6 figures. Lived paycheck to paycheck. Every raise disappeared into lifestyle inflation. He upgraded his car, his apartment, his wardrobe. He wasn't enjoying it. He was just spending it. When I asked him why, he said he didn't know. But when we dug deeper, we found the program. His dad used to say, money burns a hole in your pocket. His mom used to say, we're not the kind of people who have savings. Those 2 sentences, repeated for 18 years, became his financial operating system. He made more, but he couldn't keep it, because keeping it would violate the program. So we had to rewrite the code. And that's what we're doing here, starting now. The first step is language, because the words you use are commands. Your brain doesn't distinguish between observing reality and creating it with your speech. When you say, I can't afford it, your brain hears that as an instruction. Stop looking for ways to afford it. When you say, I'm not good with money, your brain stops trying to get good. When you say that's too expensive, you close the door on possibility. Here's the shift. Instead of I can't afford it, ask how can I afford it? Instead of I'm not good with money, say I'm learning to steward wealth. Instead of that's too expensive, say that's not a priority right now. Instead of I'm broke, say I'm between cash flow cycles. Instead of save for a rainy day, say invest for a sunny future. Every single phrase you swap is a line of code being rewritten. Now you might be thinking, that's just semantics. Words don't change reality. But they do. Your brain has a system called the reticular activating system. It's a filter. It determines what you notice and what you ignore. And it takes its instructions from your language. If you say, I can't afford it, your RAS filters out opportunities to afford it. If you say, how can I afford it, your RAS starts scanning for answers. Same reality, different filter, completely different results. I want you to try something with me right now. Take a breath. A deep one. In through your nose for 4 counts. Hold it for 4. Out through your mouth for 6. Do that 3 times. I'll wait. This is important because we're about to shift something, and your nervous system needs to be calm for the shift to stick. So breathe. 4 in, 4 hold. 6 out. Again, 1 more time. Good. Now I want you to say this out loud, even if you don't believe it yet. Money flows to me easily. Say it again. Money flows to me easily. 1 more time. Money flows to me easily. How does that feel in your body? If it feels awkward or false, that's the old operating system resisting. If it feels good, that's the new one installing. Either way, you just rewrote a line of code. And if you say that sentence every morning for 30 days, you'll start to see evidence that it's true. Not because it's magic. Because your RAS just got new instructions. Let me tell you what happened to Jen. She's a consultant. She used to say, I'm just trying to get by. We changed it to I'm built for overflow. She said it every morning for 3 weeks. On day 22, a former client called her out of the blue and offered her a contract worth $40,000. She hadn't spoken to this person in a year. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe her RAS started broadcasting a different frequency, and opportunities that were always there suddenly became visible. This is how it works. You change the language. The language changes the filter. The filter changes what you see. What you see changes what you do. What you do changes your results. It's not magic. It's code. But language is just the beginning. We also have to deal with envy. Because if you can't celebrate other people's success, you'll never create your own. Scarcity teaches you that someone else's gain is your loss. That the pie is fixed. That if they got a slice, there's less for you. Overflow teaches you the opposite. Their success expands what's possible. It's proof that it can be done. It's a map you can follow. Here's the test. Think of someone whose success makes you feel sick. Maybe it's someone in your field who's less talented but more successful. Maybe it's a friend who just bought a house you can't afford. Maybe it's an influencer who seems to make money doing nothing. Whoever it is, bring them to mind. Now notice what you feel. If it's resentment, jealousy, bitterness, that's scarcity. If it's curiosity, inspiration, celebration, that's overflow. Most people try to suppress envy. They think it makes them a bad person. But envy is just distorted desire. It's your soul telling you what it wants, but the message got twisted by scarcity. So instead of suppressing it, decode it. Ask yourself 4 questions. What specifically do I envy? What does this reveal about my unmet desires? What would I need to believe to celebrate this person? What's one action I can take toward my version of this? Let me give you an example. Maria is a coach. She told me she hated seeing other coaches post about their 6-figure launches. It made her feel like a failure. So I asked her the 4 questions. What specifically do you envy? The freedom, the validation, the impact. What does this reveal? That you want those things too. What would you need to believe to celebrate them? That there's enough for everyone. That their success doesn't limit mine. What's one action? Build my own launch plan. She did the exercise. 2 weeks later, she sent the coach she envied a congratulations message. The coach wrote back, thanked her, and asked if she wanted to collaborate. 6 months later, they co-hosted a program that made Maria $30,000. That's the overflow principle. Celebration opens doors. Resentment closes them. Now let's talk about time, because time and money are the same thing. If you hoard time, you're thinking scarcity. If you invest time, you're thinking overflow. Most people fill their calendars with low-value tasks because it makes them feel productive. But productivity is not the same as value. You can be busy and broke. In fact, that's the most common combination. Here's how to tell the difference. Calculate your value per hour. Take your annual income. Let me tell you about Tom. He's a consultant. He was making $100,000 a year, which sounds good until you calculate the hourly rate, $50 an hour. But he was spending 15 hours a week on email, scheduling, invoicing, administrative tasks. Let's call that $10 an hour work. 15 hours times $10 is $150 of value. 15 hours times $50 is $750 of potential value. He was losing $600 a week by doing the wrong work. That's $31,000 a year. I told him to hire a virtual assistant for $20 an hour to handle all of it. He resisted. It felt expensive. But I showed him the math. Spend $300 a week to free up 15 hours. Use those 15 hours to do $50 work or higher. Net gain $450 a week. $23,000 a year. He did it. Within 6 months, he'd added $60,000 in new revenue because he finally had time to do the work that mattered. That's the scarcity trap. Hoarding time that costs you money. The overflow approach is different. Protect high-value time like it's sacred. Everything else is negotiable. Put it on someone else's calendar. Put it on a computer's calendar. Or just stop doing it and see if anyone notices. Most of the things you think are urgent are actually just habitual. Now let's talk about identity, because this is where the real shift happens. You cannot out-earn your self-concept. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with money, you will find ways to struggle. If you see yourself as someone who's bad with numbers, you'll avoid the numbers. If you see yourself as not the kind of person who gets rich, you won't, because your identity is a thermostat. When reality gets too far above it, you self-sabotage. When reality matches it, you relax. This is why lottery winners go broke. They get a pile of money, but their identity says I'm not wealthy. So they spend it, lose it, give it away, get scammed out of it. They do whatever it takes to return to the identity level. It's not conscious. It's automatic. The operating system running in the background. So if you want to build wealth, you have to build a wealthy identity first. Not fake it, not pretend, but genuinely shift how you see yourself. And the way you do that is through evidence. Small proof that you are becoming the person you say you want to be. You don't go from broke to billionaire overnight. But you can go from I'm bad with money to I saved $100 this week. That's evidence. You can go from I never finish anything to I completed one financial goal. That's evidence. Stack enough evidence and the identity shifts. Here's the process. Every day, do one thing that the wealthy version of you would do. Not something big, something small. The wealthy version of you tracks their spending, so track your spending today. The wealthy version of you invests, so invest $10 today. The wealthy version of you learns about money, so read one article about money today. Each action is a vote for the new identity. Cast enough votes and the election is over. You become that person. Let me tell you about Chris. He wanted to see himself as an entrepreneur, but he'd been an employee his whole life. The identity gap was huge, so he started small. Every morning he said out loud, I'm an entrepreneur. Then he did one entrepreneurial thing that day. Reached out to a potential client, wrote a blog post, set up a landing page, recorded a video. Small things, but consistent. After 90 days, someone asked him what he did for a living. He said, I'm an entrepreneur without thinking. That's when I knew the identity had shifted. 6 months later, he left his job. 18 months later, he'd replaced his salary. The external change followed the internal shift. Now here's where people get stuck. They think they need to feel confident before they act. But it's the opposite. You act first, confidence follows. You don't wait until you feel like a wealthy person to start behaving like one. You behave like one and the feeling catches up. This is called acting as if. You act as if you're already the person you're becoming. Not in a delusional way. You're not pretending you have money you don't have. But you are making decisions from the identity you're building, not the identity you're leaving. Here's a scenario. 2 people are offered a networking event. It costs $200. Person A, operating from scarcity, thinks I can't afford that. I'll wait until I have more money. Person B, operating from overflow, thinks the version of me I'm becoming invests in relationships. I'll find the $200 because this is aligned with my new identity. Person A stays home. Person B goes to the event. Person B meets someone who becomes a client worth $5,000. Same event, different operating system, different result. So the question I want you to sit with is this. Who is the version of you that has the wealth you want? How do they think? How do they speak? How do they spend their time? How do they make decisions? How do they show up in a room? Get clear on that version. Then start casting votes for it. Every day. Small actions. Consistent proof. The identity will shift. And when it does, the money follows. Now let's talk about mindset, because identity is who you are, but mindset is how you see the world. And if you see the world through a scarcity lens, you'll miss most of the opportunities right in front of you. The overflow mindset has 7 core beliefs. Let me walk you through them. First, abundance is the default. Scarcity is the distortion. Look at nature. A single apple has a dozen seeds. Each seed can become a tree. Each tree can produce hundreds of apples. Each apple has more seeds. That's exponential abundance. The universe is expanding, not contracting. There are more stars being born than dying, more cells dividing than decaying. Abundance is the pattern. Scarcity is manufactured by fear and artificial limits. When you internalize this, You stop competing and start creating. Second, money is a tool, not a master. Money amplifies who you already are. If you're generous, money makes you more generous. If you're fearful, money makes you more fearful. The problem is never money. The problem is what you believe about it and what you do with it. Wealthy people see money as a tool for freedom, impact, and choice. Poor people see it as a master they serve. Shift that and everything changes. Third, value creation precedes wealth extraction. You don't get paid for working hard. You get paid for solving problems. The bigger the problem, the more people you solve it for, the wealthier you become. This is why some people make $50 an hour and others make $5,000. It's not about effort. It's about impact. If you want to increase your income, increase the value you deliver or the number of people you deliver it to. That's the only equation that matters. Fourth, failure is feedback, not identity. Every setback contains a lesson worth more than the loss. Rejection redirects you to better opportunities. The fastest path to success is failing faster because failure teaches you what success requires. Wealthy people fail more than poor people. They just don't quit. They extract the lesson, adjust the approach, and try again. Scarcity makes failure fatal. Overflow makes it fuel. Fifth, collaboration beats competition. There's enough for everyone. Your competitor's success doesn't limit yours. In fact, their success proves the market exists. It proves people will pay. It proves it can be done. Instead of resenting them, study them. Partner with them. Refer to them when you're not the right fit. Overflow thinkers build networks. Scarcity thinkers build walls. Networks create wealth faster than walls ever will. Sixth, wealth is a skill, not a windfall. Anyone can learn to build and manage money. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's a set of principles applied consistently over time. Lottery thinking says wealth happens to you. Legacy thinking says wealth is built by you. One is passive. One is active. One hopes. One plans. Guess which one gets results? Seventh, generosity accelerates abundance. This one breaks people's brains because it seems backward. But it's true. Givers gain more than hoarders. Not because the universe is mystical, though it might be, but because generosity creates reciprocity. When you give value freely, people want to give back. When you invest in others, they invest in you. When you open your hand, more flows in. When you close your fist, flow stops. It's not karma. It's physics. Circulation creates abundance. Stagnation creates scarcity. Take a moment and think about which of these 7 mindsets you already believe and which ones you resist. Because the ones you resist are the ones blocking your wealth. If you resist abundance as the default, you'll always be hoarding. If you resist failure as feedback, you'll never take risks. If you resist generosity accelerates abundance, you'll never experience overflow. So notice the resistance. Don't judge it, just see it. Because awareness is the first step to shift. Let me paint you a picture. Close your eyes if you can. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. You've fully adopted the overflow mindset. You wake up in the morning and the first thought isn't stress about bills. It's excitement about the day. You check your bank account and smile because the number reflects the value you've created. You think about your work and feel energized because you're serving people at the highest level. You think about your family and feel proud because you've broken the generational cycle of scarcity. You think about your future and feel calm because you've built systems that generate wealth without you. You're not rich because you got lucky. You're wealthy because you became someone different. Someone who thinks, now open your eyes. That future is available. The only question is whether you'll choose it. Let's talk about value because this is where scarcity and overflow show up in your pricing. Most people undercharge, not because they're humble, because they're scared. Scared the customer will say no. Scared they'll be seen as greedy. Scared they don't deserve more. But undercharging doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve you because you're trading hours for dollars that don't match the value you deliver. And it doesn't serve your customer because you'll resent them, rush the work, or burn out. Undercharging is scarcity in action. Overflow pricing is different. You charge based on the value you create, not the time it takes. You look at the outcome your customer gets and price accordingly. If you save them $10,000, charging $1,000 is a bargain. If you make them $100,000, charging $10,000 is a steal. But if you're thinking in hours, you'll charge $50 and leave $9,500 on the table. That's the scarcity trap. Here's the value equation. Wealth equals value delivered times people reached times price charged. Most people focus on working harder to deliver more value. That's the slow path. The fast path is increasing the number of people you reach or the price you charge. Ideally both. If you double your prices and double your reach, you quadruple your income without working more. That's leverage. That's overflow. Let me tell you about Rachel. She's a business coach. She used to charge $75 an hour for one-on-one sessions. She worked 40 hours a week. That's $3,000. Good money, but capped. She was trading time for dollars. I asked her what outcome her clients got from working with her. She said most of them increased revenue by $20,000 to $50,000 in the first year. So I asked, why are you charging $75 an hour when you're creating $50,000 of value? She didn't have an answer, so we restructured her offer. Instead of hourly coaching, she sold a 12-week transformation program for $5,000. Same content, same time commitment from her, but now she was pricing on outcomes, not hours. Her clients were thrilled because $5,000 to make $50,000 is a 10x return. She was thrilled because she only needed 4 clients a month to match her old income, and she had room to scale. Within a year, she was running group programs, serving 20 clients a month, making $80,000 a month. Same skills, same knowledge, different pricing model. That's the value shift. Now you might be thinking, but I'm not a coach. I have a regular job. How does this apply to me? Same way. You're still delivering value. The question is whether you're being compensated for it. If you're an employee, you're trading your time and skills for a salary. But most employees are underpaid relative to the value they create for the company. If you generate $100,000 in value and get paid $50,000, the company pockets the difference. That's fine. That's how employment works. But if you're aware of the gap, you can negotiate. Or you can start building something on the side where you capture more of the value you create. Here's the key. Stop thinking in hours. Start thinking in outcomes. What problem do you solve? What result do you create? What's that worth to the person receiving it? Price accordingly. And if you're scared to charge more, ask yourself this. Would I rather serve 10 clients who pay me a little and resent me, or 5 clients who pay me well and appreciate me? The answer is obvious. But scarcity makes you choose volume over value. Overflow makes you choose value over volume. Let's talk about relationships, because your network is your net worth. That's not a cliche. It's math. The people you spend time with determine the opportunities you see, the standards you hold, and the beliefs you adopt. If you're surrounded by scarcity thinkers, you'll think scarcity. If you're surrounded by overflow thinkers, you'll think overflow. It's not willpower, it's environment. So the first question is, who are your 5? The 5 people you spend the most time with. Write them down. Now ask yourself, are these people where I want to be or where I'm trying to leave? Are they encouraging my growth or anchoring me to my past? Are they celebrating my wins or minimizing them? Are they investing in themselves or complaining about circumstances? Be honest, because you will become the average of these 5 people. It's not mean to outgrow people. It's necessary. The second question is, who are your next 5? The 5 people you want to spend more time with. People who are 5 to 10 years ahead of you. People who have the results you want. People who think bigger, act bolder, and live freer. Write them down. Now figure out how to add value to their lives. Because the way you build relationships up is by serving down. You don't ask for access. You earn it by giving first. Let me tell you about Jason. He wanted to break into a new industry but didn't know anyone. So he identified 5 people he wanted to learn from. He studied their work. He found gaps they hadn't filled. He created free value for each of them, a detailed analysis of their competitor's strategy, an introduction to someone they should meet, a podcast episode featuring their work. He didn't ask for anything in return. He just gave. 4 of the 5 responded. 2 became mentors. 1 became a business partner. 3 years later, they'd built a company together worth 7 figures. That's the Overflow Network principle. Give first. Build relationships. Opportunities follow, but here's the trap. Scarcity networkers keep score. They give to get. They track who owes them. They feel resentful when the return isn't immediate. Overflow networkers give without attachment. They trust that value circulates. They know that what goes around comes around, just not always from the same person. They build social capital the way wealthy people build financial capital. Consistently, patiently, compounding over time. So audit your network. Add overflow thinkers. Reduce time with scarcity anchors. Give value freely. Build genuine relationships. And watch your opportunities multiply. Because wealth doesn't flow to people. It flows through people. The more high-quality people you're connected to, the more wealth flows through your life. Now let's get practical. You need a plan, not a wish, not a hope, a blueprint. Because hoping for wealth is scarcity. Engineering wealth is overflow. Here's how you build the blueprint. Step 1. Define your overflow number. That's the monthly income that funds your ideal life, not your current life. Your ideal life. Be specific. Add up everything. Housing, food, travel, education, giving, investing, margin. Don't be reasonable. Be honest. What would you need per month to live fully, freely, generously? Write that number down. For most people, it's somewhere between 10 and 30,000 a month. Maybe more, maybe less. Doesn't matter. Just get clear. Step 2, calculate your gap. Take your overflow number. Subtract your current monthly income. That's your gap. If your overflow number is 20,000 and you're making 5,000, your gap is 15,000. Don't panic. Just see it clearly. The gap is not a judgment. It's a target. Step 3, identify your value vehicle. How will you close the gap? What skill, knowledge, or service can you leverage to create that value? For some people, it's their job plus a side business. For others, it's scaling an existing business. For others, it's pivoting entirely. There's no right answer, just your answer. What can you do that people will pay for? Step 4, reverse engineer the milestones. If your gap is 15,000 a month, that's 180,000 a year. Break that into years. Year 1, add 60,000. Year 2, add another 60. Year 3, add the final 60. Now break each year into quarters. Quarter 1 of year 1, add 15,000. Quarter 2, add another 15. Keep going. Now you have milestones, tangible, measurable, achievable. Step 5, identify weekly actions. What do you need to do every week to hit the quarterly milestone? If you need to add 15,000 in revenue in 90 days, and your average client pays you 3,000, you need 5 new clients. That's 1 client every 3 weeks. To get 1 client, you might need to talk to 10 prospects. To talk to 10 prospects, you need to reach out to 30 people. 30 people divided by 12 weeks is 2.5 people per week. Round up to 3. So your weekly action is reach out to 3 potential clients. That's the blueprint, not vague, not someday. Specific actions that compound into your overflow number. Step 6, schedule it. Put those actions in your calendar. Treat them like appointments, because if it's not scheduled, it doesn't exist. If your weekly action is reach out to 3 prospects, block time every Monday morning to do it. Make it non-negotiable. This is how you turn a wish into a plan and a plan into results. Let me tell you about Lena. She's a photographer. Her overflow number was 12,000 a month. She was making 3,000. Gap of 9,000. She identified her value vehicle, wedding photography. She reverse engineered the milestones. She needed to book 18 more weddings per year at 3,000 each to close the gap. That's 1.5 weddings per month. To book 1.5 weddings, she needed to consult with 6 couples. To get 6 consults, she needed to reach 20 couples. Her weekly action, reach out to 5 couples. She scheduled it. Every Tuesday morning, 9 to 11, she reached out. Email, Instagram, referrals, bridal shows, consistent, focused. Within 6 months, she'd hit her year 1 milestone. Within 18 months, she'd close the gap. Now here's what happens when you have the blueprint. Your brain stops spinning. Anxiety decreases. Clarity increases. You stop wondering if you'll ever make it and start knowing exactly what you need to do today. That's the power of a plan. Scarcity hopes. Overflow plans. So right now, before you do anything else, grab a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. Write your overflow number. Calculate your gap. Identify your value vehicle. Reverse engineer 1 milestone. Choose 1 weekly action. Schedule it. That's your blueprint. Version 1. You'll refine it as you go. But version 1 is better than no version. Start now. Let's talk about multiplication. Because working harder is not the path to millions. Working smarter is. And smart work means leverage. Leverage is doing more with less. There are 3 types. Time leverage, people leverage, money leverage. Let's break them down. Time leverage is about eliminating, automating, or delegating anything that's not your highest value work. Every hour you spend on low-value tasks is an hour you're not spending on high-value tasks. And high-value tasks are what create wealth. So audit your time. What are you doing that someone else could do for less than your hourly rate? Admin, scheduling, bookkeeping, editing, posting, answering emails. All of it. Delegate it, automate it, or stop doing it. Protect your time like it's gold, because it is. People leverage is about building a team or network that multiplies your output. You alone have 24 hours, but if you have 10 people working with you, you have 240 hours. That's 10 times the capacity. You don't have to hire employees. You can partner with freelancers, contractors, affiliates, collaborators. The key is structure. You create the system. They execute it. You scale without burning out. Money leverage is about using other people's money to grow faster. This is loans, investors, credit, lines of credit. It sounds scary if you've never done it. But businesses grow faster with capital. If you can borrow $50,000 at 5% interest and invest it in your business to generate a 20% return, you just made 15% on money that wasn't yours. That's leverage. Real estate investors do this all the time. They buy properties with 10% down and rent them for more than the mortgage. That's money leverage. Now let's talk about velocity. Velocity is how fast money moves through your business. Slow velocity is you do a project, invoice, wait 30 days to get paid, then start the next project. Fast velocity is you get paid up front, deliver fast, upsell immediately, and start the next project before the first one is done. The faster money moves, the more you make in the same amount of time. Here's an example. 2 consultants, same rate, same quality. Consultant A does 1 project a month, invoices at the end, gets paid 30 days later. Consultant B does 2 projects a month, requires 50% up front, delivers faster, and upsells a maintenance plan immediately. Who makes more? Consultant B, double the projects, half the wait time, plus upsells. That's velocity, then there's compounding. This is the most powerful wealth principle on earth. Albert Einstein supposedly called it the 8th wonder of the world. Compounding is earning returns on your returns. If you invest $10,000 and earn 10%, you have $11,000. Next year you earn 10% on $11,000, not $10,000. That's compound interest. Over time it becomes exponential. This applies to money, but also to skills, relationships, and habits. Every day you invest in learning, you get smarter. That makes tomorrow's learning easier. That's compounding. Every relationship you build opens doors to more relationships. That's compounding. Every good habit makes the next habit easier. That's compounding. The key is consistency. Compounding requires time. You can't see it in a week. You barely see it in a month. But over years it becomes unstoppable. If you save $500 a month and invest it at 8% annual return, in 30 years you'll have over $700,000. That's not magic. That's math. That's compounding. So the 3 multipliers are leverage, velocity, and compounding. Use all 3. Delegate low-value work. Speed up your cash flow. Invest your profits. Do that consistently and you'll multiply your wealth without multiplying your effort. That's the difference between working hard and working smart. Hard work is noble. Smart work is exponential. Now let's talk about offers, because you can have the best skills in the world, but if your offer isn't clear and compelling, no one will buy. Scarcity offers sound like this. I do graphic design. Overflow offers sound like this. I help businesses attract premium clients with brand identities that communicate luxury and trust. Same service, completely different framing. One is a commodity. One is a transformation. Here's the formula for an irresistible offer. A clear, painful problem plus a desirable, specific outcome plus a unique mechanism plus proof plus urgency plus a no-brainer price. Let's break that down. Clear, painful problem. Your customer has to feel this problem every day. It keeps them up at night. It costs them money, time, reputation, peace. If the problem isn't painful, they won't pay to solve it. So name the problem precisely. Not vague, specific, desirable, specific outcome. What do they get on the other side? Not I'll help you with marketing. That's vague. Instead, you'll have a sales funnel that converts 30% of leads into paying customers within 90 days. That's specific. That's desirable. They can picture it. Unique mechanism. Why you? What do you do differently? This is your secret sauce. Your process. Your framework. Your method. It doesn't have to be revolutionary. It just has to be yours, and it has to work. Proof. Testimonials. Case studies. Results. Numbers. Before and after. Social proof removes risk. People believe other customers more than they believe you. Urgency. Why now? Limited spots. Price going up. Seasonal need. Real urgency, not fake. If there's no reason to act now, they'll think about it forever. No-brainer price. The value they receive has to be at least 10 times the price they pay. If they pay $5,000 and make $50,000, that's a no-brainer. They'd be stupid not to buy. Put all 6 together and you have an offer that sells itself. Let me show you. Tired of losing clients to cheaper competitors even though you deliver better work? That's the painful problem. In the next 60 days, I'll help you position your business as the premium option in your market so clients choose you and pay 20 to 50% more. That's the desirable outcome. Using the prestige pricing framework, a proven system I've used with over 100 businesses. That's the unique mechanism. Like Sarah, who went from competing on price to closing clients at 3 times her old rate within 8 weeks. That's proof. I only take 5 clients per quarter, and 3 spots are already filled. That's urgency. Investment is $5,000, and most clients add $30,000 to $80,000 in revenue in the first 6 months. That's a no-brainer price. See how that works? Every element is there. It's not salesy. It's just clear. Now compare that to I'm a business coach and I help people grow. No problem. No outcome. No mechanism. No proof. No urgency. No math. That's why it doesn't sell. It's not compelling. It's forgettable. So take your offer, whatever it is, and run it through the formula. Name the painful problem. Define the desirable outcome. Explain your unique mechanism. Show proof. Create urgency. Make the price a no-brainer. Do that and your conversion rate will double, minimum. Because people don't buy services. They buy transformations. They buy relief from pain and arrival at pleasure. Give them both and they'll pay you happily. Let's talk about habits because motivation fades but systems stay. You can't rely on feeling inspired every day. Some days you'll feel excited. Some days you'll feel tired. Some days you won't feel anything. If your wealth building depends on motivation, you'll stall. But if it depends on habits, you'll compound. Habits are the automation of excellence. You do the thing without thinking. And when you don't have to think, you can't talk yourself out of it. Here are the 5 overflow habits that build millions. Habit 1, the morning mindset ritual. 10 minutes. Gratitude journal. Write 3 things you're grateful for. Visualization. Close your eyes and see your overflow number as present reality. Affirmation. Say out loud, I am someone who naturally attracts wealth. Priority setting. Identify your number 1 wealth-building action for today. That's it. 10 minutes. But it sets the frequency for the whole day. Habit 2, the daily value creation block. 90 minutes of uninterrupted focus on your highest leverage activity. No email, no phone, no meetings, no distractions. Just deep work on the thing that moves you toward your overflow number. This is where you create the assets that generate wealth. Content, offers, outreach, products, strategy. Protect this time like it's sacred. Because it is. Habit 3, the learning loop. 30 minutes a day consuming content from people ahead of you. Books, podcasts, courses, articles. But not passive consumption. Active application. You take one insight and use it immediately. Then you teach it to someone else to reinforce it. Learning without application is entertainment. Learning with application is transformation. Habit 4, the relationship touchpoint. 15 minutes a day building one relationship. Send a voice note. Make an introduction. Share an article. Ask a question. Provide value. One meaningful connection per day compounds into a powerful network over a year. That's 365 touches. Habit 5, the evening review. 10 minutes before bed. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Identify the lesson from any setbacks. Plan tomorrow's number 1 priority. Track your wealth blueprint metrics. This closes the loop. It turns every day into data, and data gives you clarity on what's working and what's not. Install all 5 habits, and you'll transform your financial life in 90 days. Not because they're magic, because they're consistent. Consistency compounds. Let me say that again. Consistency compounds. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. Miss a day, fine. Don't miss 2. Get back on track immediately. The streak doesn't matter as much as the resilience. Let me tell you about Ben. He started the 5 habits on January 1st. He missed days here and there, but he tracked them. By March 31st, he'd completed the morning ritual 78 out of 90 days. The value creation block 62 out of 90. The learning loop 81 out of 90. The relationship touchpoint 70 out of 90. The evening review 55 out of 90. Not perfect, but way better than 0. And in those 90 days, he added $12,000 in new revenue. He didn't work more. He worked better. That's the power of overflow habits. So here's your move. Pick one habit, just one. Install it for 7 days. Make it so easy you can't fail. Morning ritual? Set your alarm 10 minutes earlier. Value creation block? Schedule it in your calendar. Learning loop? Queue up a podcast. Relationship touchpoint. Set a reminder. Evening review? Put a journal by your bed. Make it stupid simple. Then do it. 7 days. Then add the next habit. Within 60 days, you'll have all 5 running, and your life will look completely different. Now I want to talk about adversity, because overflow thinking isn't just for good times. It's especially for bad times. Anyone can think abundance when the bank account is full. The real test is when the bank account is empty, when the client cancels, when the project fails, when the bill comes and the money's not there. That's when scarcity screams. And if you're not prepared, you'll listen. Here's the scarcity response to crisis. Panic. Contract. Hoard. Stop spending. Stop investing. Stop taking risks. Play defense. Protect what's left. The problem is, defense doesn't create offense. You can't save your way to wealth. You can only earn your way. So while scarcity is busy protecting, it's also busy shrinking. The overflow response is different. Assess, adapt, expand. When something breaks, you don't collapse. You ask, what's the opportunity here? What can I learn? How can I pivot? What door just opened because another one closed? You stay in motion. You stay in creation mode. You look for the angle, because there's always an angle. Let me tell you about Nina. She ran an event planning business. March 2020, everything shut down. Every contract canceled. Revenue went to zero overnight. Scarcity said she was done. She could have quit, filed for bankruptcy, gone back to a job. Instead, she asked, what do people need right now? They need connection. They can't meet in person. So she pivoted to virtual events, built a whole new service, taught companies how to run engaging online experiences. By June, she'd replaced half her lost revenue. By December, she'd exceeded her 2019 numbers. 2 years later, she sold the virtual events arm of her business for mid-six figures. The crisis didn't kill her business. It created a new one. That's overflow in adversity. So when bad things happen, and they will, don't ask why me. Ask what now. Don't ask what did I lose. Ask what did I learn. Don't ask how do I get back to where I was. Ask where is this taking me that's even better. Adversity is information. It tells you what's not working so you can build what will. It clears out the weak structures so you can build stronger ones. It removes the people and opportunities that weren't aligned so you can find the ones that are. If you see it that way, adversity becomes advantage. Now let's talk about money and relationships, because this is where scarcity does the most damage. Money is the number one thing couples fight about. Not because money is the problem, because money reveals misalignment, different values, different fears, different operating systems. If one person is scarcity and the other is overflow, every financial decision becomes a war. So here's how you fix it. You talk about it. Not when you're fighting about a bill. Proactively, regularly. You have a money date. Once a month. Sit down together. No blame, no judgment, just alignment. You ask each other questions. What are our financial goals this year? What does wealth mean to you? How do you feel about our current spending? What are you worried about? What are you excited about? How can I support you? You listen. You don't fix. You don't defend. You just understand. Then you create agreements. We'll save this much. We'll invest this much. We'll spend this much on fun. We'll give this much. We'll review it monthly. You're on the same team, not opponents. The money is a tool you're both using to build the life you both want. If you're not aligned on the life, the money fights will never stop. But if you're aligned on the life, the money decisions become easy. Let me give you a scenario. Alex and Jamie are married. Alex is a saver. Jamie is a spender. Every month they fight. Alex sees the credit card bill and feels panic. Jamie sees the savings account and feels deprived. They're both operating from scarcity. Alex is hoarding because of fear. Jamie is spending because of lack. Neither is overflow. So they start having money dates. They discover that Alex's fear comes from watching their parents lose everything in a recession. Jamie's spending comes from growing up poor and never wanting to feel that way again. Same root, different response. Once they see that, they stop fighting each other and start fighting the fear together. They agree on a number that makes Alex feel safe. They agree on a number that makes Jamie feel free. They build a budget that honors both. The fights stop, not because the money changed, because the understanding changed. That's overflow in relationships. Now let's talk about service, because this is the secret most people miss. Wealth doesn't come from taking. It comes from giving. The more people you serve, the wealthier you become. The bigger the problem you solve, the more you get paid. This is not altruism. This is physics. Value flows in circles. You give value. You receive money. You use money to give more value. The circle expands. But if you try to extract value without giving it first, the circle breaks, and the flow stops. Here's the trap. Scarcity makes you focus on what you can get. How much can I charge? How little can I deliver and still get paid? How can I maximize profit and minimize effort? That's extraction. And extraction doesn't scale, because people feel it. They know when you're serving them versus using them, and they stop buying. Overflow makes you focus on what you can give. How much value can I deliver? How can I over-deliver? How can I solve this problem so well they tell everyone? That's contribution, and contribution scales, because people feel it. They know when you're genuinely trying to help, and they keep buying. They refer. They come back. They become raving fans. Let me tell you about Kim. She's a health coach. She used to sell 30-minute consults for $50, transactional. She was focused on the money. Then she shifted. She started giving away tons of free content, workouts, recipes, mindset tips. She built an audience. People loved her. They felt served before they ever paid. Then she launched a group program for $500. 60 people signed up in the first week. $30,000, more than she'd made in the previous 6 months of one-on-one consults. Why? Because she gave first. She built trust. She demonstrated value. And when she asked for money, people were thrilled to give it because they'd already received so much for free. That's the service model. Give value freely. Build an audience. Serve at scale. Get paid proportionally. It's not complicated, but scarcity resists it because it feels backward. It feels like you're giving away what you should be selling, but you're not. You're giving away the appetizer so people buy the meal. You're giving away the sample so people buy the product. You're proving you can help before you ask them to pay, and that proof is what converts. So ask yourself, how can I serve more people? How can I give more value? How can I solve bigger problems? The answers to those questions are the path to millions. Not how can I make more money? That's the wrong question. The right question is, how can I create more value? Answer that, and the money follows. Now let's talk about the identity shift, because everything we've covered so far leads here. You can learn all the strategies. You can install all the habits. You can build the blueprint. But if your identity hasn't shifted, you'll self-sabotage. Because your external results will always match your internal identity. If you see yourself as broke, you'll find ways to stay broke. If you see yourself as wealthy, you'll find ways to stay wealthy. The thermostat doesn't lie. So how do you shift identity? 3 practices: daily embodiment, evidence collection, community reinforcement. Let's go through them. Daily embodiment means acting as your overflow self in small moments throughout the day. The waiter brings the check. Your scarcity self calculates the minimum tip. Your overflow self tips generously because that's who you're becoming. You see something you want. Your scarcity self says, I can't afford it. Your overflow self says, not a priority right now, but I could if I chose to. Someone asks your rate. Your scarcity self apologizes for the evidence collection means tracking every win, no matter how small. You made an extra $100 this week. Write it down. Someone complimented your work. Write it down. You said no to a low-value opportunity. Write it down. You completed your morning ritual 5 days in a row. Write it down. The evidence file becomes proof that you are becoming the person you say you want to be. And when the scarcity voice says you're not changing, you pull out the file and say, yes, I am. Look, community reinforcement means surrounding yourself with people who see your overflow identity, not your scarcity past. Join a mastermind. Hire a coach. Find an accountability partner. Be in spaces where people are building wealth, thinking bigger and acting bolder. Because when everyone around you is doing it, it stops feeling impossible. It starts feeling normal. And normal is what you become. Let me tell you about Jamal. He grew up in poverty. First-generation college student. Got a good job, made decent money, but inside he still felt poor. He still checked prices before ordering. He still felt guilty spending on himself. He still apologized when he charged clients. The external had changed, but the internal hadn't. So we worked on identity. Every morning he said out loud, I am wealthy. He acted as his wealthy self all day. He collected evidence. He joined a mastermind of other entrepreneurs building wealth. 6 months later, someone asked him what he did. He said, I'm a wealth builder without hesitation. That's when I knew the identity had locked in. A year later, he'd tripled his income. Not because he learned new skills. Because he became a new person. That's the shift. You're not trying to get rich. You're trying to become someone who is rich. Subtle difference. Massive impact. Because getting rich is external. Becoming rich is internal. And internal always wins. So right now, I want you to write a 1-page declaration. Start with I am. Then describe your overflow identity in present tense. I am someone who naturally attracts wealth. I am someone who creates massive value. I am someone who invests wisely. I am someone who gives generously. I am someone who builds legacy. Write it all out. Who you're becoming, not who you were. Read it every single morning for 30 days. Let it sink into your bones. Let it become your operating system. That's the identity shift. And when it happens, everything else becomes easy. Now let's talk about commitment. Because everything we've talked about is theoretical until you commit. Commitment is the line between interested and invested. Interested people try when it's convenient. Committed people do whatever it takes. Interested people make excuses. Committed people make progress. Interested people quit when it gets hard. Committed people push through. If you want overflow, you have to commit to it. Not casually, fully. Here's how you make commitment real. You write a contract with yourself. At the top you write, I commit to becoming a person who builds wealth through overflow thinking. Then you write your specific 12-month goal. I will increase my monthly income from $5,000 to $15,000 by this date. Then you write your accountability structure. I will track my progress weekly. I will review my blueprint monthly. I will work with this coach or this mastermind or this partner. Then you sign it, date it, and share it with someone who will hold you to it. That's commitment. But here's the thing about commitment. It's not a feeling. It's a decision followed by action. You won't feel committed every day. Some days you'll doubt. Some days you'll want to quit. Some days you'll wonder if it's worth it. That's normal. Commitment doesn't mean you never doubt. It means you act anyway. You show up even when you don't feel like it. You do the work even when you don't see results yet. You trust the process even when the process is slow. Let me tell you about Maya. She committed to a 12-month overflow transformation. Month 1 was exciting. Month 2 was hard. Month 3 she wanted to quit. Nothing was working. She wasn't seeing results. The old patterns were still there. She called me and said, I don't think this is for me. I said, did you do the work? She said, yes. I said, then keep doing it. She did. Month 4 something shifted. A client said yes. Month 5 2 more clients said yes. Month 6 she hit her first milestone. Month 12 she'd exceeded her goal. She didn't quit at month 3. That's commitment. And commitment is what separates the people who transform from the people who just talk about it. So I'm asking you right now to commit. Not to me, to yourself. Commit to 12 months of overflow. Commit to doing the work even when you don't feel like it. Commit to tracking your progress. Commit to adjusting when something's not working but not quitting. Commit to becoming the person who has the wealth you want. Write the contract, sign it, share it, and then start. Take a deep breath with me. In through your nose for 4. Hold for 4. Out through your mouth for 6. One more time. 4 in, 4 hold. 6 out. Feel your body. Feel your feet on the ground. You're here. You're alive. You're capable. And you're about to do something most people never do. You're about to shift from scarcity to overflow. Not just in theory. In reality, this is the moment. Right here. Right now. Everything changes when you decide it does. So decide. Here's what I want you to understand about the next 90 days. This is your acceleration phase. This is where theory becomes practice, where knowledge becomes results, where commitment becomes transformation. But transformation doesn't happen in a straight line. It happens in waves. You'll have breakthrough days and breakdown days. You'll have wins and setbacks. You'll have clarity and confusion. All of that is normal. All of that is part of the process. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who struggle and keep going. They're the ones who fall down and get back up. They're the ones who make mistakes and extract the lessons. They're the ones who stay committed when everyone else quits. That's who you're becoming. Not someone who never fails, someone who fails forward. So let me give you a 90-day micro-challenge framework. This is day by day, week by week. Specific actions that compound into massive results. You're not going to do all of this perfectly. You're going to do it messily, imperfectly, inconsistently at first. That's fine. Progress beats perfection. Messy action beats clean inaction. Let's build your first sprint. Week 1 is foundation week. Day 1, calculate your overflow number and your gap. Write it down. Make it real. Day 2, identify your value vehicle. What are you selling? What problem do you solve? Who pays for it? Get specific. Day 3, audit your language. Track every scarcity phrase you say or think for 24 hours. Write them all down. Day 4, create your overflow language swap list. For every scarcity phrase, write the overflow alternative. Day 5, start using the new language. Catch yourself. Correct yourself. Do it out loud. Day 6, write your identity declaration. 1 page I am statements. Present tense. Who you're becoming. Day 7, rest and review. Look at what you created this week. Celebrate that you started. Week 2 is habit installation week. Day 8, start the morning mindset ritual. 10 minutes. Gratitude, visualization, affirmation, priority. Do it before you check your phone. Day 9, continue morning ritual. Add the evening review tonight. 10 minutes, wins, lessons, tomorrow's priority. Day 10, continue both rituals. Schedule your value creation block for tomorrow. 90 minutes. Put it in your calendar. Protect it. Day 11, execute your first value creation block. Turn off notifications. Close the door. Do the high leverage work. Day 12, repeat the value creation block. Start tracking how it feels. Is 90 minutes too long? Too short? Adjust. Day 13. Add the learning loop. 30 minutes. Consume one piece of content from someone ahead of you. Apply one insight today. Day 14. Rest and review. You now have 4 of the 5 overflow habits running. How does it feel? What's working? What needs adjustment? Week 3 is offer and outreach week. Day 15. Refine your offer using the irresistible offer formula. Painful problem. Desirable outcome. Unique mechanism. Proof, urgency, no-brainer price. Write it out. Day 16. Test your offer. Send it to 5 people who might buy. Don't overthink it. Just send. See what happens. Day 17. Based on feedback, refine your offer. What confused people? What excited them? Adjust. Day 18. Create your outreach list. Who are 30 people you could reach out to this month? Clients, prospects, referral partners. Write them down. Day 19. Reach out to 3 people from your list. Provide value. Ask a question. Make an intro. Don't pitch yet. Just connect. Day 20. Reach out to 3 more. Make this a daily habit. 3 touches a day. Day 21. Rest and review. How many conversations did you start this week? What responses did you get? What did you learn? Week 4 is network and momentum week. Day 22. Identify your 5 current closest contacts. Audit them. Energy giving or draining? Scarcity or overflow? Be honest. Day 23. Identify your next 5. Who do you want to spend more time with? People ahead of you. People building what you want. Write them down. Day 24. Create value for one of your next 5. A resource, an intro, an insight, something useful. Send it with no ask. Day 25. Reach out to another. Give first. Build the relationship. Day 26. Add the relationship touchpoint habit. 15 minutes a day. 1 meaningful connection. Make it part of your routine. Day 27. Review your blueprint. Are you on track for your first? Week 6 is conversion week. Day 36. Review all your conversations from the past 5 weeks. Who's warm? Who's interested? Who's ready to buy? Make a list. Day 37. Reach out to your warmest prospect. Make an offer. Clear, confident, no apology. See what they say. Day 38. Follow up with 2 more warm prospects. Practice your offer. Get comfortable stating your price. Day 39. Handle objections with overflow thinking. They say it's too expensive. You say compared to what? Compared to the value you're getting, it's a bargain. Day 40. Close your first client of the sprint. Or if you don't close today, identify what's blocking the sale. Price, trust, timing, fix it. Day 41. Celebrate any progress. Even if you didn't close, you practiced. You learned. That's valuable. Day 42. Rest and review. Week 6 is about converting conversations to cash. How'd you do? Week 7 is systems week. Day 43. Document your client process. From lead to close to delivery. Write down every step. Make it repeatable. Day 44. Identify what you can delegate. Admin, editing, posting, scheduling. Make a list. Day 45. Find someone to delegate one task to. Hire a VA. Ask a friend. Trade services. Just get one thing off your plate. Day 46. Automate something. Set up email templates. Create a scheduling link. Use a tool that saves you time. Day 47. Track your time for 1 full day. Where does it go? How much is high value? How much is low value? Get the data. Day 48. Eliminate one low-value activity completely. Just stop doing it. See if anyone notices. Day 49. Rest and review. Systems week is about leverage. Did you find any? What can you do next week because of the systems you built this week? Week 8 is financial week. Day 50. Calculate your profit from the sprint so far. Revenue minus expenses. What's left? Is it moving you toward your milestone? Day 51. Review your spending. Where is money leaking? Subscriptions you don't use. Expenses that don't generate return, cut them. Day 52. Set up a separate account for profit. Even if it's just $100, start the habit of paying yourself first. Day 53. Invest something. $10, $100, whatever you can. Make investing a habit, not an event. Day 54. Give something. 10% of profit. 5%, whatever feels generous but sustainable. Circulation creates abundance. Day 55. Track your net worth. Assets minus liabilities. Write it down. This is your baseline. You'll track it monthly from now on. Day 56. Rest and review. Financial week is about getting clear on the numbers. Clarity creates control. Week 9 is relationship deepening week. Day 57. Reach out to someone you haven't talked to in months. Reconnect. No agenda. Just relationship. Day 58. Introduce 2 people who should know each other. Facilitate a connection. Add value to both. Day 59. Join a community or mastermind. If you haven't already, find your people. Where are the overflow thinkers gathering? Go there. Day 60. Have a money conversation you've been avoiding. With a partner, a client, a family member. Be honest. Seek alignment. Day 61. Ask for help with something. Practice receiving. Let someone serve you. It builds reciprocity. Day 62. Offer help to someone without being asked. See a need. Fill it. No expectation of return. Day 63. Rest and review. Relationship week is about deepening the network. How much richer is your network than it was 9 weeks ago? Week 10 is Mindset Reinforcement Week. Day 64, reread your identity declaration. Does it still fit? Does it need updating? Refine it. Day 65, write down 10 pieces of evidence that you're becoming your overflow self. Wins, shifts, new behaviors, proof that you're changing. Day 66, identify one scarcity belief that's still holding you. Write it down. Then write the overflow belief that replaces it. Day 67, practice the new belief today. Act as if it's true. See what happens. Day 68, visualize your 12-month future. Close your eyes. 5 minutes. See yourself living at your overflow number. Feel it. Make it real. Day 69, share your progress with your accountability partner or community. Transparency creates momentum. Day 70, rest and review. Mindset Week is about reinforcing the internal shift. How different do you think compared to Day 1? Week 11 is Acceleration Week. Day 71, double something. Your outreach, your content, your prices. Pick one thing and double it. See what happens. Day 72, say yes to something that scares you. An opportunity, a collaboration, a bigger ask. If it's scary, it's probably growth. Day 73, say no to something that doesn't serve you. A low-value client, a time-wasting meeting, a draining relationship. Protect your overflow. Day 74, launch something new. A new offer, a new service, a new piece of content, something you've been thinking about. Do it today. Day 75, get uncomfortable feedback. Ask 3 people, what's one thing I could do better? Listen, don't defend, just receive.
Day 76, implement one piece of that feedback immediately.
Show that you're coachable, that you're growing. Day 77, rest and review. Acceleration Week is about stretching. How much bigger is your capacity than it was 10 weeks ago? Week 12 is Integration Week. Day 78, review your entire 90-day sprint. What worked? What didn't? What surprised you? Write it all down. Day 79, calculate your progress toward your quarterly milestone. Did you hit it? Get close? Fall short? Either way, extract the lessons. Day 80, identify your 3 biggest wins from the sprint. Celebrate them. Really feel the progress. Day 81, identify your 3 biggest lessons. What did you learn that you'll carry forward? Day 82, plan your next 90-day sprint. What's the next milestone? What needs to change in your approach? Day 83, share your sprint results with your accountability partner or community. Let them celebrate with you. Day 84, rest and review. Integration Week is about consolidating the gains. Who are you now compared to who you were 84 days ago? After these 12 weeks, you're not the same person. You can't be. You've installed new habits. You've shifted your language. You've taken new actions. You've gotten new results. Maybe you hit your milestone. Maybe you didn't. Either way, you're closer than you were. And you've built the muscle of commitment. That's what matters most. But here's where most people fail. They do a sprint. They get results. Then they stop. They think they're done. But transformation isn't a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. The Overflow operating system requires maintenance. It requires reinforcement. It requires ongoing practice. So let's talk about relapse proofing. Relapse happens when you slip back into scarcity thinking without noticing. It's subtle. You stop doing your morning ritual. You start saying, I can't afford it again. You avoid pricing conversations. You shrink back into the old identity. And before you know it, 3 months have passed and you're right back where you started. But relapse isn't failure. It's just drift. And drift is reversible. You just need a system to catch it early and course correct fast. Here's your relapse proofing plan. First, weekly check-ins. Every Sunday, spend 30 minutes reviewing your week. Ask yourself 6 questions. Did I do my morning ritual at least 5 days? Did I protect my value creation block at least 4 days? Did I reach out to at least 12 people? Did I create at least 1 piece of content? Did I act from my overflow identity more often than my scarcity identity? Did I move closer to my milestone or further away? If the answer to any of these is no, that's a yellow flag. Not a crisis, just a signal. Course correct immediately. Don't wait. Second, monthly audits. Once a month, do a deeper review. Audit your language. Have any scarcity phrases crept back in? Audit your time. Are you protecting high-value work or slipping back into busy work? Audit your finances. Are you tracking, investing, giving, or just spending reactively? Audit your relationships. Are you spending time with overflow thinkers or scarcity anchors? Audit your identity. Do you still see yourself as someone who's building wealth, or has doubt crept back in? Catch the drift at the monthly level and you'll never have a major relapse. Third, quarterly resets. Every 90 days, do a full reset. Review your blueprint. Are you on track? Ahead? Behind? Adjust your milestones if needed, but don't lower your overflow number. Adjust the timeline. Adjust the tactics, not the target. Recommit to your habits. Sign your contract again. Renew your vows to yourself. Join a new mastermind or deepen your existing community. Refresh your content. Refresh your offer. Refresh your outreach. Treat every quarter like a new sprint, because it is. Fourth, emergency protocols. What do you do when you have a bad week? A bad month? When you slip hard into scarcity? Here's the protocol. Step 1, acknowledge it without judgment. I slipped. That's fine. I'm human. Step 2, identify the trigger. What happened? What caused the slip? Stress? Loss? Comparison? Get specific. Step 3, reactivate your overflow language immediately. Say your affirmations out loud, even if you don't believe them, especially if you don't believe them. Step 4, do one high-value action today, not tomorrow. Today, one outreach, one piece of content, one client call. Momentum breaks scarcity. Step 5, reach out to your accountability partner. Tell them you're struggling. Ask for support. You're not alone. Step 6, revisit your evidence file. Let me tell you about Marcus. He did a 90-day sprint, crushed it, hit his milestone, then he took his foot off the gas. Stopped the morning ritual, stopped the outreach, stopped the tracking. 3 months later, he'd lost half his gains. Income dropped. Confidence dropped. He called me panicking. I said, this is just drift, not failure. Run the emergency protocol. He did. Within 2 weeks, he was back. Within a month, he'd regained what he lost. Within 2 months, he'd exceeded his previous peak. The relapse taught him that overflow isn't a destination. It's a practice. He never stopped again. That's the lesson. You will drift. Everyone does. The difference between people who transform and people who don't isn't whether they drift. It's how fast they catch it and course correct. Install the relapse proofing system and you'll catch it at the weekly level instead of the yearly level. That's the difference between a small adjustment and starting over. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually succeed, when you hit your overflow number, when money stops being a source of stress and starts being a tool for freedom. This is where a different challenge emerges, not scarcity, but what I call overflow confusion. You made it. You're making the money. But now what? What do you do with it? How do you make sure you don't lose it? How do you keep growing without burning out? How do you enjoy it without feeling guilty? Here's the truth about hitting your overflow number. It doesn't feel the way you think it will. You imagine relief, peace, arrival, and there is some of that. But there's also disorientation, because you spent years climbing toward a target, and now you've hit it, and your brain doesn't know what to do. Some people respond by raising the target immediately. I need to hit 20,000 now, then 30, then 50. The goalpost keeps moving. That's not overflow. That's just scarcity wearing a bigger costume. Other people respond by stopping. They hit the number and coast. They stop doing the things that got them there. The habits slip. The outreach stops. The momentum dies. And slowly, silently, they drift back down. That's not overflow either. That's just success without sustainability. The overflow approach is different. When you hit your overflow number, you don't raise it right away. You stabilize it. You ask, can I maintain this number with less effort? Can I systematize it? Can I make it more leveraged? You look for ways to create the same result with fewer inputs. That's maturity. That's sustainability. And once you've stabilized it, once you're hitting your number consistently for 6 months without heroic effort, then you consider the next level. But not from desperation, from overflow, from I want to expand because I'm ready, not because I'm still running from scarcity. Let me tell you about Priya. She hit her overflow number of 18,000 a month. She'd been making 6,000 when we started. Tripled her income in 14 months. I asked her how it felt. She said, honestly, I feel lost. I don't know what to do now. I've been so focused on getting here, I never thought about what happens after. So we worked on stabilization. We looked at her business. What was she doing that generated the 18,000? She was working 50 hours a week. Okay, can we get that to 30? We cut, we delegated, we automated. Within 3 months, she was making the same 18,000 in 30 hours. Now she had margin. Now she had space. Now she could think about what's next without burning out. She spent the next 6 months in stabilization mode, just maintaining, enjoying, living. Then she said, okay, I'm ready for the next level. What's possible? We built a new milestone, $25,000 a month. But this time we built it with leverage from the start. Group programs instead of one-on-one. Digital products instead of only live delivery. Affiliates and partners instead of only her effort. She hit $25,000 within 8 months. And she did it in 25 hours a week. That's overflow. That's sustainable growth. That's what it looks like when you build wealth from a foundation of overflow thinking instead of scarcity hustling. So here's your post-success protocol. When you hit your overflow number, pause. Don't immediately raise the target. Stabilize first. Ask yourself these questions. Can I maintain this number working fewer hours? Can I systematize the processes that generate this income? Can I delegate more of the execution? Can I automate anything? Can I create leveraged offers that scale without scaling my time? Spend 3 to 6 months answering these questions with action. Make your overflow number easier to maintain. Then, when you're ready, when you've built the foundation, go for the next level. But build it with leverage from day one. That's how you go from 6 figures to 7 figures without working 80-hour weeks. That's how you build wealth that doesn't require you to sacrifice your life. Now let's talk about legacy, because this is the final shift. Scarcity builds wealth for self. Overflow builds wealth for others. At some point in your journey, if you do this right, you'll have more than enough. You'll have overflow, actual overflow, more coming in than going out. And when that happens, you have a choice. Hoard it or circulate it. Scarcity hoards. Overflow circulates. Circulation means investing in others. It means funding someone's dream. It means paying for someone's education. It means tipping extra. It means giving generously to causes you believe in. It means creating opportunities for people who don't have them. It means using your wealth as a tool for good. Not because you have to, because you want to, because you've tasted overflow and you want others to taste it too. This is where generosity stops being sacrifice and becomes joy. When you give from scarcity, it hurts. You feel the loss. You resent it. You wonder if you should have kept it. But when you give from overflow, it feels good. You're not losing anything. You're circulating what you have in abundance. And circulation creates more abundance. It's a law. Not a feel-good principle, a law. Money flows to people who let it flow through them. Money avoids people who clench it. Let me tell you about Daniel. He built a 7-figure business over 8 years. Overflow thinker from day one. When he hit his first $100,000 in profit in a single year, he decided to give 10% away. $10,000. It felt huge, scary, but he did it. He funded scholarships. He supported local nonprofits. He helped friends in need. The next year he made $150,000. He gave $15,000. The year after that, $200,000. He gave $20,000. Now he's at 7 figures annual profit. He gives 6 figures away every year. And here's what he told me. The giving doesn't slow the growth. It accelerates it. Because when I give, I'm telling my subconscious that I have more than enough. And my subconscious responds by creating more. I can't explain it, but it works. That's the generosity paradox. You give and you receive more. Not always from the same source. Not always immediately. But over time, the return on generosity is infinite, because generosity builds reputation. Reputation builds relationships. Relationships build opportunities. Opportunities build wealth. It's a cycle, and it starts with giving. So here's your generosity practice. Decide on a percentage of your income that you'll give away. Start small if you need to. 5%, even 1%, but make it automatic. Not when you feel like it. Every month, every quarter, whatever rhythm works. Give it away. To people, to causes, to opportunities. And as your income grows, keep the percentage the same or increase it. Don't let lifestyle inflation eat all your growth. Let generosity grow with your wealth. That's overflow. That's legacy. That's the kind of wealth that changes the world. Now let's talk about your kids, if you have them or plan to. Because one of the most important things you can do with your overflow is pass it on. Not just the money, the mindset. Your kids are watching you. They're absorbing your relationship with money. Your stress or your peace, your scarcity or your overflow. They're learning from what you say and what you don't say, from what you do and what you avoid. You're programming their operating system right now, whether you realize it or not. If you fight about money in front of them, they learn money causes conflict. If you hoard money and never enjoy it, they learn money is scarce. If you talk about rich people with resentment, they learn wealth is wrong. But if you talk about money with calm confidence, they learn money is manageable. If you give generously and joyfully, they learn money is abundant. If you speak about wealthy people with curiosity instead of judgment, they learn wealth is possible for them too. So here's how you teach overflow thinking to your kids. First, let them see you manage money well. Don't hide it. Let them see you budget. Let them see you invest. Let them see you give. Make it normal. Second, teach them the value equation. They don't get paid for existing. They get paid for creating value. Give them opportunities to solve problems and earn money. Then teach them what to do with it. Save some, invest some, give some, spend some. Third, model abundance language. When they say we can't afford that, correct it. We're choosing not to prioritize that right now. When they see someone with something they want, say, isn't it cool that they worked hard and got that? We can do that too. Fourth, expose them to overflow thinkers. Let them meet people who've built wealth. Let them see that it's normal, achievable, not mystical or evil. If you do this, you'll break the generational cycle of scarcity. Your kids won't have to unlearn what you're teaching them. They'll start with overflow. Time freedom means you control your calendar. You decide when you work and when you don't. You're not trading time for dollars anymore. You're trading value for dollars. And value can be created in concentrated bursts and delivered on your timeline. This is the first freedom most people want, and it's achievable faster than you think. You don't need millions for time freedom. You need systems. You need leverage. You need offers that don't require your presence for every dollar earned. Location freedom means you can work from anywhere. You're not tied to an office or a city. You can live where you want, travel when you want, stay where you want. This freedom used to be rare. Now it's common. Almost any knowledge-based business can be location independent. If you're still trading hours for dollars in a fixed location, that's a choice, not a requirement. You can change it. Relationship freedom means you spend time with people you choose, not people you're obligated to. You're not stuck with difficult clients because you need the money. You're not stuck in toxic work environments because you can't afford to leave. You choose your relationships. All of them. This is underrated. Most people sacrifice relationships for money. Overflow thinkers design their wealth to enhance relationships. Purpose freedom means you work on what matters to you. Not what pays the bills. Not what someone else expects. What lights you up. What you'd do even if you weren't getting paid. This is the deepest freedom, and it's the one that takes the longest to achieve, because it requires enough wealth to disconnect work from survival. But when you get there, when you're working on purpose instead of for paycheck, that's when life becomes truly full. Most people chase money thinking it will give them freedom, but money without intentionality just creates a bigger cage. You make more, you spend more, you need more, you're trapped at a higher level. That's not freedom. That's just expensive scarcity. Overflow thinkers design their wealth for freedom from the start. They ask, what do I actually want? Then they build wealth that funds that life, not someone else's vision. Theirs. So here's your freedom blueprint. Describe your ideal day from waking to sleeping. Be specific. Where are you? Who's with you? What are you doing? How are you spending your time? Now calculate what that day costs per month. That's your freedom number. It might be lower than your overflow number. It might be higher. Either way, now you know the target. Now build toward it intentionally. Design your wealth to fund that day. Every day. That's freedom. That's the real win. Let me tell you about Sophie. She's a lawyer. Was making $300,000 a year. Impressive, but she was miserable. 70-hour weeks. Toxic firm culture. No time for her kids. No time for herself. She felt trapped. I asked her to describe her ideal day. She said, I want to wake up without an alarm, have breakfast with my kids, work for 4 hours on interesting cases, teach a yoga class, have dinner with my family, read before bed. I asked what that life costs per month. She said probably $8,000, way less than I'm making now. So I asked, why aren't you living it? She said, because I can't walk away from $300,000. I said, you're not walking away from $300,000. You're walking toward $8,000 a month of freedom. She quit the firm, started a solo practice. She now makes $12,000 a month working 25 hours a week. She took a massive pay cut and her quality of life went up 10x. That's freedom. That's what it looks like when you design wealth for your life instead of someone else's expectations. Now let's talk about what to do when you fail. Not if, when, because you will. Everyone does. You'll launch something that flops. You'll lose a client. You'll make a bad investment. You'll say the wrong thing. You'll miss a deadline. You'll underdeliver. You'll overcommit. You'll screw up. And when you do, scarcity will whisper, see, I told you, you're not cut out for this. You should quit. This is where most people quit. Not because they failed, because they believed the scarcity interpretation of the failure. Overflow interprets failure differently. Failure is data. It tells you what doesn't work, so you can find what does. It's not evidence of your inadequacy. It's evidence of your willingness to try. And trying is the only path to success. So when you fail, and you will, run this protocol. Step 1, feel it. Don't suppress it. Failure sucks. Let yourself be disappointed, frustrated, sad. Whatever you feel it fully. Give yourself 24 hours. Step 2, extract the lesson. What did this teach me? What would I do differently next time? Get specific. Write it down. Step 3, share it. Tell someone what happened and what you learned. Transparency removes shame. Shame keeps you stuck. Step 4, take one small action forward. Not a big one, a small one. Send one email. Make one call. Write one sentence. Just move. Momentum breaks the failure spell. Step 5, recommit. Say out loud, I'm still building wealth through overflow thinking. One failure doesn't change that. I'm still committed. Step 6, try again. Not the same thing the same way. A new thing, or the same thing a new way, but try. Because the only real failure is quitting. Let me tell you about Aisha. She launched a program. Spent 2 months building it. Put it out into the world. 0 sales. Not one person bought. She was devastated. She called me crying. I said, okay, you just learned something valuable. What is it? She said, I learned my audience doesn't want what I built. I said, good. So what do they want? She said, I don't know. I said, find out. Ask them. She spent the next week asking. 60 conversations. She learned they didn't want a program. They wanted one-on-one. They wanted customization. They wanted personal attention. So she pivoted. She offered high-touch one-on-one instead of a group program. Sold out in 3 weeks. Made more money than the program would have made anyway. The failure was redirection, not rejection. She stayed in the game long enough to learn that. That's the difference between people who succeed and people who don't. Not whether they fail. Whether they keep playing after they fail, so expect failure. Plan for it. Normalize it. It's part of the process. It's not evidence that overflow doesn't work. It's evidence that you're in the arena. You're trying. You're building. That's more than most people ever do. So fail forward. Extract the lessons. Adjust the approach. Try again. That's overflow. That's resilience. That's what separates people who transform from people who just talk about it. Now let's talk about the long game, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. Overflow thinking compounds over decades. The person who does this for 1 year will see results. The person who does this for 5 years will see transformation. The person who does this for 20 years will see legacy. Most people quit too early. They try for a few months, don't see dramatic results, and go back to scarcity. But compound growth is slow at first. You plant the seed. You water it. You don't see anything. You keep watering. Still nothing. You wonder if it's working. Then one day a sprout, then a stem, then leaves, then fruit, then a tree, then a forest. But only if you kept watering when you couldn't see anything. That's the long game. You do the work when you can't see the results. You trust the process when the process feels slow. You stay committed when everyone else quits. And 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, you look back and you don't recognize your life. The income is different. The freedom is different. The relationships are different. The confidence is different. Everything is different. Not because you got lucky, because you stayed in the game. Because you chose overflow every day for years. Because you didn't quit. Let me tell you about Robert. He started his overflow journey at 40. Late, he thought. Everyone else is ahead of me. But he committed anyway. He did the work. The habits, the language, the offers, the outreach, the relationships. Year 1, he added $20,000 in income. Decent. Year 2, $30,000 more. Year 3, $50,000 more. By year 5, he'd tripled his starting income. By year 10, he'd built multiple income streams totaling mid-6 figures. By year 15, he had financial freedom. Could retire if he wanted. Chose to keep working because he loved it. Now he's 60. He's wealthy. He's free. He's living his overflow life. And he tells everyone who'll listen, I started at 40 and built everything in 20 years. You can too. It's never too late. You just have to start and not stop. That's the message. It's never too late. You're not too old. You're not too far behind. You're not too broken. You're exactly where you need to be. Right here, right now, with this decision in front of you. Will you choose overflow? Will you commit to the long game? Will you do the work even when it's slow? Will you stay when others quit? That's the only question that matters. So here's your final assignment, your commitment contract. I want you to write this down. Not mentally, actually write it. Because written commitments are stronger than mental ones. Here's what you write. I, and then your name, commit to becoming a person who builds wealth through overflow thinking. I commit to doing this for a minimum of 12 months before I evaluate whether it's working. I commit to installing the 5 overflow habits and practicing them even when I don't feel like it. I commit to using overflow language even when it feels awkward. I commit to acting from my overflow identity even when my scarcity identity is louder. I commit to building my blueprint and working it consistently. I commit to reaching out, creating value, making offers, and serving. Now take one more deep breath with me. This is the last one. In through your nose, deep and slow. 4 counts. Hold it at the top. 4 counts. Now let it out through your mouth. 6 counts. Release everything. The doubt, the fear, the scarcity, let it go. Because you don't need it anymore. You have something better. You have overflow. You have a blueprint. You have a plan. You have tools. You have commitment. You have everything you need to transform your financial life. The only question left is, will you use it? Here's what's on the other side of this decision. Freedom. Not just financial freedom, though. That's part of it. Freedom to choose your schedule. Freedom to work with people you love. Freedom to say no to things that don't align. Freedom to give generously. Freedom to invest in your dreams. Freedom to build something that lasts. Freedom to leave a legacy. That's what overflow gives you. Not just money, freedom. And here's what happens when you choose overflow. You stop worrying about bills. You stop checking prices before you order. You stop feeling jealous when someone else wins. You stop shrinking when someone asks your rate. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop playing small. You start living large. Not arrogant, not flashy, just full. Full of possibility. Full of confidence. Full of peace. That's overflow, but it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by decision. So decide. Decide that you're done with scarcity. Decide that you're built for overflow. Decide that wealth is your birthright, not your lottery ticket. Decide that you'll do the work. Decide that you'll stay committed. Decide that 12 months from now you'll be unrecognizable. Not because you got lucky, because you got intentional. I've given you the blueprint, the language, the mindset, the habits, the strategies, the identity shift, the commitment framework, the relapse-proofing plan, the day-by-day micro-challenges, the long-game perspective. Everything you need is in your hands. The only question left is, will you use it? Because you can listen to this audiobook 100 times, but if you don't act, nothing changes. Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. So apply it. Today, this week, this month, this year. Start with language. Catch yourself every time you say a scarcity phrase and swap it for an overflow phrase. Do that for 7 days and watch what happens. Then add the morning ritual, 10 minutes a day. Do that for 2 weeks. Then add the value creation block, 90 minutes of focused work. Do that for a month. Then build your blueprint. Then launch your offer. Then build your network, layer by layer, habit by habit, decision by decision. That's how you transform. And here's the thing. You don't have to do it alone. Find people who are doing this with you. Join a community. Hire a coach. Get an accountability partner. Because transformation is hard in isolation, but it's inevitable in the right environment. Surround yourself with people who believe in overflow, people who are building wealth, people who are thinking bigger, people who will call you out when you slip into scarcity and celebrate you when you step into overflow. That's the environment that makes this real. So let me ask you one last time. Are you ready? Ready to stop living small? Ready to stop thinking broke? Ready to stop apologizing for wanting more? Ready to claim the wealth that's been waiting for you? Because it has been waiting. Not out there. In here, inside you. You've always had everything you need. You just didn't know it. But now you do. Now you see it. The scarcity was a lie. The overflow is the truth. And the truth will set you free. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, completely. Welcome to Overflow. This is your new operating system. This is your new identity. This is your new life. The old you is gone. The new you is here. And the new you is unstoppable. Not because you're special, because you're committed. Not because you're lucky, because you're intentional. Not because it's easy, because it's worth it. 12 months from now, you'll listen to this audiobook again, and you'll smile, because you'll remember who you were when you first heard it, and you'll see how far you've come. The income will be different. The confidence will be different. The opportunities will be different. The relationships will be different. Everything will be different, because you'll be different, and that difference is the whole point. So go, do the work, build the wealth, live the overflow, and when you get there, when you hit your overflow number, when you're living in freedom, don't stop. Keep going, because overflow isn't a destination. It's a way of being. And the more you embody it, the more wealth flows. Not just to you, through you, to your family, your community, your legacy. That's the ripple effect. That's the transformation. That's the promise. You have everything you need. You always did. Now go prove it. The world is waiting for the overflow version of you. Don't make it wait any longer. Start today. Start now. Start with one decision, one action, one word, one breath, and watch everything change. Because it will. Not someday, today. The moment you decide, so decide. And become who you were always meant to be. Wealthy, free, generous, overflowing. Welcome to your new life. Welcome to millions. Welcome home.